Okay, so first of all, we need to integrate Swagger. We tried that yesterday, but I mean, in last class, that didn't work out. So Swagger and Logger. Both are different things. Swagger is all about API documentation that we already saw, and it was quite straightforward. But again, because of Spring 3, some or minor change has been done, which I didn't try till hit. But because of your class, I got a chance. Uh, I got this opportunity. Fine. So we are talking about Swagger first. So first thing you have to do the API, right? Which API you need to add, and let's start with that. So step one is quite simple. Even just you add, once you add that library, it's the first thing which will start working without it doing any much configuration. You have just one library and it will work. So we are having just basic dependencies, JPA for Hibernate, web because we are dealing with HTTP request, MySQL database, and test. Even we don't need that. You can even remove it. It's kind of optional for now. Okay, now the library. So I've already stored it here. So this is the one we needed. Okay, so I copied this and pasted. It took me some time to figure out which is compatible version. I think we added this library, and just this dependency is more than enough. We don't need to do much. Just this library is enough. Okay, so after adding this library, run the application normally the way we run. Even no need of any extra properties in uh, an application properties. It is straightforward, nothing special. Just the application name, the port. Even this is by default it runs on 8080. The database configuration and some Hibernate configuration. That's it. Nothing special. Application is up. Nice. Let's go back to the browser. And okay, and we already know what's the endpoint of it. It's this Swagger something. Oops. This one. Copied. Okay. So if you notice, by default we are getting the screen. Yep, that's it. What I just did, I have added one library, Spring Doc, Open API, Starter, Web MVC UI. That's it. And you have to ask this path, Swagger hyphen UI slash index dot util. That's it. So we get all the details. These are the default things. Everything is coming default except what we have here. So let me just close this. So this is a default screen for Swagger. Let me take a screenshot of it. Um, Save this second, and let me copy the URL as well so you guys can easily refer this one. And what dependency we need to add? This one. So I did my own research and again followed multiple documentation, even the Spring official documentation, like which one is better suited for this with less configuration. So this is the one. Just add this library and we are good to go. We can see a basic screen from Swagger library. So how start with some logo. This is by default came up v3 API docs. We haven't added anything as of now. If I click explore, nothing happens. Fine. Let me zoom it so you guys can read out even. So there slash v3 API docs. We will see this. What is that? Then server information. So it's HTTP localhost 8080 and generated server URL. Nothing there, just this one. By default, it is selected. Okay, now we have, if you guys remember, as of now we just have one controller, manager controller. There it is in my system. If you run this code in your system, you have two controllers, task and manager. So you will see two controllers here. So manager controller. Okay. Now what we have inside this manager controller? List of APIs, all the manager related APIs. This we give. This is not mandatory, but it's a good to have the feature of giving versions of your APIs. So later in future, if you want to create version 2, so you can parallelly create a separate class. It will be same API v2, and then further you can add some enhancement. Let's suppose till v1 feature what we have some basic code operations. I give you one task, add a profile picture of that manager. Okay, so that's kind of enhancement, but we are done with this work. So what I will do in next class, I will create a base URL which says slash API v2, and there we will add some more functionality. which is not basic but some kind of enhancement. So it goes to slash API slash v2. So that's how we can maintain our APIs. It's just a part of your, you can write anything. This is just a standard. Okay, and now what we have? The APIs. So if I expand it, so you guys can see all the APIs mentioned here. Slash API managers, everything's there. And you can see the color coding. It's nice, right? We haven't done anything yet. Just by default, it picks everything. It reads your class and knows what's your request type. Okay, if I expand get, now it says, do we need to pass any? Okay, let me open the postman as well. Postman. So you can even see what we are looking forward here. Hmm. Okay, so it says get slash API v1 managers. So we're not passing any ID. That means it will fetch all manager records. It is similar to what we have. Oops, not here. This one, not laptop. Get. There it is. So get all APIs running right here. So if I run this code, I can see list of managers are coming up. So I got 3 managers in my application, in my database. Fine. So can we run this code here as well? Yes, it says try it out. Okay, let me click this button. Something happened? Nothing happened. Media type, by default it is there. What it says? String, 200. It's not giving me option to customize it. Yeah, okay. Try it out. Then we got this execute button. Execute, and here we are. So you guys can see if you are enabling Swagger, you even don't need this Postman, extra tool to manage your APIs, or not manage, but to test your APIs. So what we just did, try it out, then we got execute button, or you can even clear here. So everything gets clear. Execute again. Once you execute, it shows you a curl request. Okay, this is a one way if you want to execute your APIs through command line. Yes, you can also do that. Just paste this in your command line and execute. You can execute your endpoints through command line as well. But again, that's kind of clumsy thing. You need to write lots of things in your command line, which at least to save time, we don't do that. Then this is a request URL, code is 200, and this is a response body. Okay, response header, what it has, connection, content type, and you guys can see by default it knows application slash JSON. So that's a default content type. Then some other information like when it is triggered and transfer encoding and all that stuff. So this is how you can test other endpoints as well. This was just for get. Let me minimize it. Then you can try put, post. Let's try for get, which takes ID. Once you have a parameter, now you can see it is asking that you can pass IDs, but it is enabled, it's disabled by now. So let's say try it out, and now I can pass ID. So let's say try ID 1. Okay, as of now we don't have any response. Right after we have a delete. Fine. Let me execute. Yep, it is executed, and you guys can see again a new curl request for our API, HTTP localhost 8080 API v1 manager /1. Then this is our request, complete request path. This is by default. This is how API looks like. Then this is the complete API path. Then 200 code, that is okay. Then we have a response body. Raj, then age, everything is coming up. We are not binding task yet, so task is null. So basically, Swagger gives you that much power that you can see or check out your APIs by just writing, or not writing, even just adding one library, and it will work perfectly. Great. Okay. What else we can see? This is just about APIs, and this is just one controller. If you have 10 controller, you can see list of 10 controller, and every controller will have their own APIs. Fine. What about this schemas? If I expand this, see, this is why I have asked you to add VO layers, because that's how API understand that this is the front controller. Whenever any request comes up, it deals in manager view, and if you have some other view classes or front end classes to manage APIs at control layer, they can be also maintained here. So manager view has all the features. You guys can see ID, name, age, email, task views. In task view, what we have ID, title, description. So all the fields which we have here, if I expand manager, so all the fields mentioned here, they get comes across the Swagger. So it knows what are the classes which is used at front end side. So you can see list of those classes. And if you expand task views, It has task views. If I expand this one, so again, so that's the complete picture of schemas we are using here. So that's why it is important to have all these things, like which class is using that. So it is, again, these classes are not schemas. That's how Swagger interprets it. That which class is used at front end side, which takes data from front end and gives response to the front end. Okay, so this is the first picture without with just adding one dependency, and we have a default structure. Okay, what about this blue icon which says V3 API docs? Okay, if I click, okay, something comes up. Okay, we have a black screen. Let me give a pretty print. So what we have in here, OpenAPI, the version we are using OpenAPI. Then it's the info, OpenAPI definition, then version, then server. This is our server, localhost 8080. Then paths. Now paths has all the endpoint information. So paths, then body starts, then first API is managers, then get, then how response looks like, then put request, then tag, done. This is done, then put request, its tag, then operation completed, this request, then delete, then how many components are in terms of schemas. So whatever we saw in a UI structure, whatever you saw here, now we are getting its JSON structure. So that's why JSON is important. If you guys still not comfortable, please go through previous classes or refer that some sites to understand what JSON is and how you can understand it. All curly braces are object, and all these are key value pairs. And if you see anywhere the square brackets, these are arrays or object like this. So we can have multiple tags. That's kind of a collections or arrays. So this screen is all about what we saw here in a UI section. But thing is, we don't have this endpoint, right? We don't have that endpoint. We have something else. We have something at root level I'm talking about. On control layer, we have slash API slash v1. So if you think I need this, okay, so you can do that. If I'm now I'm teaching you how to customize the default behavior of Swagger. So terminate, remove all. Okay, so one little change I'll do here. I'm going to add that feature. It is spring doc dot API hyphen docs dot path. So by default, path for the Swagger API is slash v3 slash API docs. Okay, I can change it to anything as per my project as or what's the requirement here. So I can write slash API slash v1. I want this structure. I saved it. System is already closed. Workforce application. Okay, started. Not this one. Let me copy this URL, paste it, and I'll go till HTML. This is the path you have to look forward. 8080 slash swagger UI index HTML. Enter. Now you can see the default path is changed. Earlier it was v3 something something, and it was mentioned here. Now it's changed to API slash v1. If I click on this, expand. So let me search API slash v1. Now it makes more sense, right? This is the complete path, actual path, slash API slash v1 manager. Earlier it was something else. By default it is coming here, but what we just did, we changed the default path of Swagger. Okay, this is done. So that's how you can configure the default path here and explore. If you want to explore this one, yeah, it won't go to you. Fine. This is done. So that's how you can customize about the path you have in your default screen. Okay. Now what if I want to add some like we call this information towards your class or a default screen. Right now, when you open this home page, it says Open API definition and some information here and there. I want to add some more information in simple words on my default screen. Let's suppose it's my project specific things. So that can be also done. So for that, we need that config class. We were trying to add that, but it was not working. So I also figured out that. So I'm going to create a new package. We'll say config small single C, done. Let me refresh because it's going inside of it. Refresh, there it is. Right click, new Java class, Swagger config. Okay, and then add configuration. Okay, then public open AI. Okay, that's the return type of it. Then I need to write custom. I mean, you can write anything, but most probably we write custom open API and then this. And definitely it's going to be a bean class. This is the same bean. Someone asked me that what is bean here. Bean is just a Pojo class, but it's a standard class which is maintained by or managed by Spring container. Server is up, so let's stop the server, stop, terminate, remove all these stuffs. Okay, then custom open API. Fine. Now I'll instantiate one object, new open API, and then I'll say dot info and info. Yeah, okay, it's fine. And here I need to instantiate this object, new info. Okay, dot. Let's say just I want to add title. So I'll say my application name is workforce. Wallet workforce API documentation. Documentation and semicolon, and I need to return it. Okay, any red line? No red line. Great. Let's run the application. And where we added this class? Inside config package. Okay, just one line which says workforce API documentation. Okay, let's verify. It is up. Let's go to web page. Close this one. This is the home page. Entered. And now you guys can see initially it was open API definition. I have changed it to workforce API documentation. Okay, great. What else we can do? Likewise, change its title, so we can even change the version. Okay, so we can give the version as well, the project version by default when you're writing this current documentation, the API documentation. So what's its version at that time? So I can go down here, not here, there, then dot version. Let's say 1.0 by default. It's going with 1.0. Then let's add some basic description dot description version dot dot should be not in. I just put dot two dots. Okay, description come up version. Oh, it's in actually it's text string. Okay, description and this API, not this. This let's say app. This app allows managers to manage to do task. Okay, done. So I just added some basic information. This app allows managers to manage to do task. Okay, cool. As we did some changes in Java code, let's restart it. Okay, so let's verify. Server is up. Fine. Let's go to web page. Going to reload this page. Entered. Now you can see version 1. Initially it was v0. I gave it to 1.0. Then I gave one line description. This app allows managers to manage to do tasks. So that's how you can write it. Okay, that's done. You can also add some more configuration at top of your class where you think that I need some more information. So that can be also uh, done. Okay. Okay. There we are. So if you want, you can add some configuration or not configuration, but some more information about this controller. Okay. So that can be done here in that. If you remember, we were trying to add some tag annotation. So that is possible if you write some code here and give some like annotation specific to this one. not here, the Swagger part, the in collection we have. Any question yet till now? Any doubt or question, please ask. If no, that's fine. No? Okay, fine. So that means we are clear how we can set up basic Swagger configuration, and we can also configure it. One configuration is possible inside properties file. Let me put this in steps first. So first thing we did in POM file, time to put these in steps. So first thing we did here, okay, why it is coming in blue? Okay, good. This will help you till Spring 3 is there. Once they load Spring 4, definitely steps will get changed. So step 1, oh, add dependency. Okay, done. That we did. Second step for configuration. It is not required. I'll write optional. Okay, this is optional. Once you think, okay, I need to add some more information. So optional is you can configure in your properties file to give this kind of information. Ouch. I put it here. So it goes in application properties. Okay, so one place is you can configure it inside application properties file, or you can also create a separate class. This like this one. So I need to copy this much, or actually I should take a screenshot. Why that is highlighted? Okay. So this is again optional. If you think you need to write some more configuration, you want to give some more verbose information about it, so this is also possible. So third image, and I'll put this in steps 2 like this. Okay, so first section is this, second is here. Okay. Okay, so application properties you can create and add some more. Again, this is just one configuration. If you remember, guys, we did that. Okay, let me show you that as well. So here, if you want, so we're talking about Swagger properties, Spring Boot. This one, Open API. So we have a separate URL for that, which you can refer. And you think, okay, I need some more configuration. This is not enough. I need some more control over my Swagger documentation. So you guys can follow this link. So what it has, all the thing what we just used, the very first link we used here, not link, the property, the placeholder, Spring Doc API doc path, Spring Doc API doc path. So default value, we saw that by default it has v3 API docs. So we just change it to something else as per our requirement. I want API v1. Okay, so this link is useful. Fine. Now next thing is, what if I want to give more information about my the endpoints here? So what can be done? So for that we can add some annotations basically. So after adding REST controller request mapping, I can add one more tag. That annotation is tag, and make sure that you are importing it from correct class v3 os. This one done. Then here put a tag and just write name, and here I'll write manager API. Just writing this one. I need to do this restart multiple times to show you the impact of it. So one by one we will do that, and I'll just cover only one API. You guys can follow along and cover up other endpoints. Okay, so I just added one tag which says manager API. Fine. Let's run this code to see the impact of this tag on Swagger UI screen. So we are doing some more configuration on controller now. We are just proceeding with we did with the API path, the path. Then we change this. Then we are going to go over to the controller. Okay, application is up. Going back to the web page. Here we are. Entered. Where's the impact of it? Okay, there it is. Manager API. I forgot. See, initially by default it takes the class name manager controller. It is changed to now manager API. So all the manager related APIs are here. Okay, if you want to give some more information about, like, once API is done, the name is done, definitely you want to go further and want to give some description. So yes, put it all quote, and let me stop this, stop, so we can see the description. So I'm just writing some random stuff. So below are manager related APIs. Okay, done. Manager related APIs. So this will give a description. Fine. So stop the service, restarting it. Here we are. And it is okay, started. Going back. So enter one more time. It is not working that way. Remove this HTML. Now you guys can see. Now it has manager API and then it is giving some information. Manager below are manager related APIs. So that's how you can give some more information about your controller. What's this controller has, what kind of API we have. So I gave a some one-liner. Now next is how we can configure on or give some more information about the endpoints. So I'll pick any random endpoint and we'll add some annotation at top of it. Okay, this time I'll do all the things right away. Then you guys can see the impact of it. Okay, so that will give more idea because right now we wrote this endpoint, so we know what's this all about. And as a endpoint or this writer or as a developer, we know what this cat put post is. But sometimes things are much complex, and we are not dealing with five or six APIs. It will be 500 APIs per project. So you cannot just get information just by reading it. Sometimes it says get, but you are also downloading it. You are also uploading it. That's also possible just by using get. Sometimes we need to do that because of some restriction. So the documentation is must. Fine. So we're going to pick any random. I'll pick this one, which fetches all the managers. Okay, so get all managers. So after endpoint writing this get mapping, we can add some more and annotations. So I'll write operation. This one from V3 OS annotation, and here you can write a feature summary. So it says load all managers. Okay, this is done. So just by operation we are telling that what does it do. We can also add some more functionality description. It fetches all managers, manager details. Okay, done. So I saved it. So summary, it will load all managers and it fetches all manager details. Fine. Let's stop the service. I think it's already stopped. Let's run the code one more time. So to see the impact on API now. Let's wait. Started. Well, I'll just duplicate it so we can see, we can at least compare it. Now you can see on first line it says get. Now load all managers, right? It was not there earlier. If I open this again, there. Okay, so get API viewer manager, that's it. We don't have anything here, but now we have some more information. Load all managers. Okay. If I expand, it fetches all manager details. It was not there. If I expand it, nothing. But now we have something, then we have parameters. Now it has right away the parameters. So that's the impact. So that's how we can give more documentation. And as a developer, you should write this thing if it is suggested by the managers or senior guys. Okay, so we saw the impact of writing tag, and let me move it up so I can take both in one screen. There, saves, taking screenshot here. Let's add it. Okay, so this is what we wrote. Okay. Okay, now let's not do this way. Let me add it till here. What we added at class level. And the impact we can see here. This much we saw the impact of it. So once you add this, that's how things gets changed. Oh, my bad, not this screen. It's about controller. Here. This is a manager API, and I think we have a space. I'll put it this way as well. Go down, go up. Okay, now it is better. So that's the impact of writing this much. Let's save it. Fourth image. Let's open next paint. And then we wrote some annotation at top of our one endpoint. We wrote this. Let us save it first. So fifth, and then the impact is on the API part here. Here it is. Okay, so now we have information and we have an idea how we can add description. Okay, that's all about Swagger, guys. That's it. Next thing about what we are doing is logging. That is one critical stuff. Once you're writing any application, Spring Boot application is fine, but any application you're working, or any web application you're working, or any project, web-based, desktop-based, or mobile-based, whatever you guys looking forward, log is important. Logs are really important. If you're working on logs, or if you're writing any project, you have to maintain logs as well. Logging is important because someday if you want to go back and to check what goes wrong last night when server was crashed, you cannot just guess it. You need to see the logs. So logs are important, super important. So lots of frameworks are out there, lots of services out there just to maintain logs, and how resilient and expandable server can be to maintain logs in case even it crashed, so we can fetch as much as information can be possible. So in future, if you want, you can have it. So what you need to do, good thing is you don't have to add any library by yourself. By default, Spring Boot, okay, because that's the reason why we're using Spring Boot. Lots of inbuilt features are there. So in Spring Boot, we have this feature SLF4J. I forgot its full form, but yeah, this library is already there. So you can import things. We don't need to actually import any library. By default, it's there. So you can add this property or feature in your properties file, and it will be done. So let's see what you can write in your code. It is quite straightforward. Just write one line and it will be done. Okay, so going back to our project, let's say I'll write this on my main class. Let's close all. These are done. So on root file here, I want to add log. Okay, not here. What it will do? I need to don't save it. Manager controller. Okay, here I'll add that. So first thing, let's suppose I want to manage logs for manager control. So how to maintain it, or what should be written? So I need to import one class. Its name is logger factory, and make sure that you are importing it from org slf4j. Okay, there it is at top. Okay, fine. Then it has one static method, name is get logger, then put a bracket and mention the class you are trying to log. So I want to log manager controller. So manager controller dot class. Okay, done. Then store it somewhere, right? We need to store this reference somewhere. So I'll say private because this is all about just one class. So private manager, not manager, static. Then we can make it also final as well. So there could be no copy. And you need to create a reference. So it's going to be logger. And we can hold it in logger variable. Done. So you have to write this kind of line. So in future, if you want to fetch something, you can get it from here. So I have added this logger, and multiple things are there when we are trying to log. We have multiple log levels. Let me show you the log levels on Google. Log levels in Spring Boot. So we have, oh, what is that? Why? What happened to you? So we have info, warning, debug, all that thing is there. Log levels, Java. I'm on VPN or what? Motorcycle. Okay. Yeah. Even it's not about Spring Boot, by the way, guys. I wrote Spring Boot because I was in a flow, but it's all about any level you want to go forward. So find final info. This is not good. Yeah, this is good. So we are talking about these kind of log levels. Okay. So usually when we are working in projects, so you might see debug, info, warning, error, and sometimes trace as well. So I'll count this. Forgot about these headers, but okay, let's have it. It's not to have this one. So basically, we're talking about this. You can have it in a separate project. Okay. So we're talking about log levels. So these are some log levels present. It's not about Spring Boot. Again, I'm repeating. As even I started when I said it's about any project you're working on. So you need to maintain logs. So every logs has their level. So most of the time we will deal with info, warning, and when you're debugging, so you can also put that as well. That while debugging, I got this. And error will come in a red line. Of course, you can configure it. So these are known as log levels or logs level. Okay, cool, done. Okay, so now we have information about log levels. What I can do, because right now I just want to show some information that this API is triggered. So I have the reference logger, and here the get all managers. Here else I write um, logger dot info. Okay, info is there, and I can write one message. It is similar to what we saw system.out.println, but that is quite heavy. It takes lots of research to print it, resources, and processing time. These are quite lightweight and they don't take much information. So if you want to put anything in log information, make sure that you are using logger instead of writing sys.out.println. So today onwards, if you want to see something on your console, you can use logger.info. And here I'll say get all managers method invoked. So it looks like it is like system.out.println, but it's not. It has some more deep information. Fine, so changes is done. Now we're going to run this code again. Now I'm going to trigger this API from Postman to see whether we will get this logger.info content in our console or not. Okay. Here we are. Can you see, guys, even when our application was running, we have this kind of information. See, I'll explain this as well. What is this? But we already have this kind of information from the starting. What is that? This is logs generated by Spring Boot by default. This is a default, you can say log structure. So we'll see that. But right now we have this information. Okay, so let's trigger this endpoint and see whether we get all messages method invoked or not. So going back to Postman, this is get request, request sent, response came. Now if I switch to Eclipse and if I scroll right side, see there it is. It is actually maintained by Spring Boot, so it goes info. And I what I wrote here, logger.info. So info level is here. Ignore all the contents, but if I scroll down, sorry, scroll right, I can see my message here. Okay, let's do one thing. I'll put this message here as well. Paste it, done. Same message. So we'll see the difference. Stopped, stopped. Let's restart the application. Okay, application started. Going to request API again. Response came. So here's my message, get all messages method invoked. Or if I scroll left side, I can see another message. Now see the difference, guys. And if you just see this message, can you guess at what time this what do you call it, sysout or information came up? Just by reading this line, you cannot guess, right? Is it really info? Is it a warning? Is it a error? What is that? At what time it happened? What's the thread? Which thread actually invokes this? You cannot guess anything just by using sysout. That's why this is good when you are writing some line and you want to see it. But in real time, when something happened last night or 2 days back, how can you trace back when this happened? Just reading this line, you cannot guess, right? So we need some more information: the date, time, what was the log level, which thread executed it, where it was, and again, just by reading this line, you cannot even see from where it invoked. You need to search the whole application. But if I read this line, I can see it came from manager control. So I can switch over to this class and search from which API it is here. Obviously, message there. You wrote it, so you definitely know. But after 2 or 3 days, or maybe 1 week or 1 month, you cannot see. You need to search out. So that's the impact of using logs in your project. Okay. Next thing is, once it's done, we have configured log. So can we do one configuration? So just by doing that, you can get all this information not in your console, because once I right click and clear, now see my logs are gone. Is it really we want? I want to persist that information. I want to save that information, that log information, somewhere in my on my hard disk, which is manageable, which from where I can copy paste or I can even share it to someone. Once I right click here, it's gone from the console. So all that logs are gone. So I want a physical copy. I mean, if I want, I can have it, not physical, but soft copy of it somewhere. So what we can do, we can configure that in our application properties file right here. Okay. So what do you need to write? There's a key, logging dot file dot name. Yep. Just give a file. Of course, you need to give the complete path to your application, and this file will be created there. So let's do this. This is our location where I'm keeping all the application. So I'll copy this, paste here, and then I'll put slash, and I'll say workforce app. Let's end with the dot log. Okay, this is what I want. Done. I saved it. So this is a complete path for the this log file, workforce app log. Cool. Let's stop the service. Terminate all. And before I proceed, I need to take a screenshot of this at how to write it and then how to use it. Okay, saved. Let me highlight the sections. So first thing we did here, add logger at your class. Make sure that you are writing the correct class name. If I am in service layer, so I need to write manager service impl dot class. So wherever your code is, make sure that you're writing the class name. You cannot write everywhere the manager controller. I was in manager controller, that's why I wrote manager controller. Next we added logger.info. Okay, fine. Now we are trying to externalize this feature, so it won't remain till my console, because that will always gets closed. So I added this path. Fine. Let's run the application. There we go. Application is going to start. Started. Okay, let's switch back to the directory. Okay, it's not there. It's a path issue. Fine, because what I used backslashes. So let's fix it. I need to convert that in with forward slashes. Okay, or I need to keep it two. So better either I can use double slashes, or the best is always use front slashes, forward slash. Hmm. Because it supports by Windows plus Linux machines. So if you are giving any path, make sure you are giving path as per the Linux machines. So use forward slashes. Okay, let's see, will this work or not? So stop the service. Let's run the code again. Application started. Fine. Uh, okay, application has started. Let's check this now. Okay, now I can see something is there, right? If I refresh, uh, this is the path. I haven't created it. By default, it was created by the application. Let's open it. And if you guys notice, we have the same information. Whatever we saw in Eclipse console, process running till here, started a workforce application. I can see the same message here as well. Started application within this time. Okay, cool. Now going back and going to trigger this endpoint because I want this information as well. Plus sysout as well to see. So postman request sent, response came. First, let's see the Eclipse console. After this line, you guys can see four line came up. Initializing, completed, get all managers invoked, then sysout, and then select query. Okay, let's switch to Notepad and says something has been changed. So, okay, do you want to reload? I say yes. And yep, I can get the same information here. Get all managers invoked. And if I scroll, oops, it's not there. So it means when you externalize all those information, logs specifically, so it won't track all these information unless it is logged. That's why we don't use sysout in our projects. We never write this kind of statement on productions. It remains till you're doing some development. So till development it's fine, you can have it, but once your code is forwarded to next region, so it should not be used. So make sure that you are using logger from the very starting point, because logger can be printed on your console as well, like this way. So we saw the impact. If you're not adding that here, it won't be treated by the Spring Boot server. It says, okay, you are adding some random stuff which we don't know. I am about to log only those things which is coming through the logger key, which actually keeping tracking all this. So you can add this anywhere. I'm just giving you an idea. You can copy this, and we know we wrote lots of code in service layer. This is the right place to have all these things. Just make sure that you are changing the name like this, and yeah, good to go. Wherever you think, okay, I need this, I need to log this in future, this might goes wrong, so have that information before and after to the method. So it could have anything, but logger is super important. After configuring the project, the first thing you guys should do, always add logs in your project like this way. Good thing is Spring Boot has a default feature, so just add this class logger factory dot get logger and give your class name. Rest of thing it manages. So because I need to show, because right now it is just taking care of manager control. What if I write it somewhere else? Okay, so I copied that and we are getting managers, all managers here. So it's a logger dot info. Okay, let's it's not supposed to write. Let me add debug. Okay, fetching all managers from impl class. Just writing some message. Okay, code format done. Service stop, stop, and let's run the application. Okay, so fetching all managers. So application started. Fine. Okay, so I just restarted this application second time. Let me switch to Notepad. It is loaded. Okay, going to reload. Okay, yes. See now what happened. My previous log is still there. How you can verify? It is here. Now then again a new log adds up. So start from here and going till here. So that's the good thing about logs. It won't delete your log file. I have worked in multiple projects where log file goes in GBs per day. So think about how much log they are, tracking. So it's good to have because we never know when things get crashed at what extent. So we always log our information. Okay, great. So we can see the file is expanding. It keeps track everything. Nice. Now I'm going to run this code again. Get all API. Fine. It has get all managers method invoked. Oh, what happened to that one? Oh, obviously. Now if you notice, I have used debug. Okay. Even if I switch to Notepad, update, I can see only message get all managers. So when it comes to information, only then you can see. If you want even warning, you can see in your logs info, warning, errors. But if you want debug information, need to run this in a debug mode. So let me convert back to info, this message, restarting service. So the mode determines what level you are, and accordingly it generate logs for your application. Okay, so I converted to info, application started. Yep, this will get more updation. Okay, now we have 74 lines. Fine. Going to run the endpoint, execute it. Now you guys can see now we have info and fetching all managers from IML class and some select query. Fine. If I switch back to Notepad, I can see get all managers. These won't get treated by the logger. Then next message is fetching all managers from IML class. And now check the class name. It is from controller, manager controller. Now it is service IMPL, manage service IMPL. So you can just by looking at the log, you can understand, okay, this message is coming from this class. So how tough is to search this one in a class? Just copy. Let's suppose this class has thousands lines of it, doesn't matter. I do one entity search, and I can see things are here. So that's how log works, guys. Just need to add one line and things will work easily. So you can track where my logs are. Again, super important, super duper important. The next thing when you are working in a project. So black, I'll okay, I'll copy this. All right. Path for storing the log file, and then whatever you have. This is the example syntax. It's, obviously it's not that syntax, but yeah, that's fine. So that's how you can give it. This will be created by application by itself. Spring Boot app will create this file. Create. This is a note for you. Okay guys, that's it for today.